Hola guys, in this video I'd be ranting about some things you may want to consider before upgrading your CPU, as well as sharing with you my experience in buying a second-hand one. I saw a listing in Facebook Marketplace. By the way, I'm from the Philippines. So I saw this listing, an Intel 12th Gen i5 12600 non-K for 7,500 pesos. Caught my attention and decided to upgrade my i3 12100. Same generation, same socket, an LG8 1700. And before I proceed, timestamp in the time bar below. Feel free to skip ahead. But I really think there would only be one stamp there. In the latter part of the video, I'd be showing to you guys the results of the performance benchmarks I did, as well as a bit of comparison between the new i5 and the old i3 I have. So let's start with buying secondhand components, right? I'll start off with video cards. In regards to video cards, guys, I'm not really comfortable recommending that. I already tried twice from way back. Didn't last. It lasted 2 months. After 2 months, I really think it's 2 or 3 months, broke down on me. So nope, unless you're buying it from a friend or someone you know, the story may be different, but otherwise, no. In regards to motherboards, well, a motherboard of mine, after I'd like to say 2 years, I had to send it back. The Wi-Fi adapter wasn't working. They repaired it, sent it back to me. My point is, bruh. Motherboard has lots of components. One of them may break down on you, so asking for a warranty coverage, maybe let's say after a month's use, you'd have the option to return it if something goes wrong. Maybe ask for a refund. Very unlikely, I know, but worth asking, right? Bottom line, just be careful who you're buying it from. Is he an avid fan of overclocking or something like that? So just be careful. But in regards to CPUs doesn't really break down that easily. But guys, I'm not pertaining to 13th or 14th gen. If you're a user watching from way in the future, just be careful. Right now, today's August 2, 2024. Intel is yet to release a patch to address that issue. But basically, what's happening is, if the CPU you're buying, a 13th or 14th gen, again, if you're from the future, if it's part of the batch where the damage is already done, the longevity of it is already compromised. So yeah, there may be a fix already, but the damage is already done and the longevity may be compromised. So be careful. Now I'm pertaining to Intel's 9th, 10th, 11th, or even 12th gen. It's an LGA type of CPU. Basically, here's the CPU. It comes with an integrated heat spreader, and that IHS with the ILM locking it into place may bend even more so over time, where the thermal performance may be compromised. So it's worth asking how the thermal performance is before buying it, and if it's bad, better ask for more discount before actually buying it. And if you do decide to go on with the purchase, better research on how to lap a CPU. Just Google CPU lapping, where you basically try to flatten the IHS to get a better thermal performance, but otherwise should be fine. And in regards to AM4, yeah, some users do lap their AM4 CPUs, but for a different objective, where they try to lessen the IHS height to get better thermal performance. Not really trying to fix the thing, just improve the thing, something like that. And make sure you have a spare thermal paste with you. Realizing you don't have thermal paste with you later in the upgrade process may be a bit frustrating. And yeah, now we'd be moving towards BIOS, where I'd have to pull this thing up 1 second, or rather motherboard. We'll get into BIOS next. All right, if I have CPU Z, If you don't have this software, download link will be in the description field below. Now open CPU-Z software up, and under the mainboard tab, check on the model of the motherboard you have and go to its support page, right? I have a Gigabyte. It's a B660M DS3H DDR4 revision 1.0. Right next to the model in CPU-Z is X.X. So basically, it's not showing me what the revision is. For the revision, it'll be silk screened onto the motherboard itself. It'll be along the side. Make sure to note what that specific revision is. That is very important because one minor revision might give you a different information, okay? So right now my motherboard is a B660M DS3H DDR4 non-Wi-Fi revision 1.0, exactly how it is silk screened along the side of my motherboard. Sorry, the mic, sorry. Anyway, go to the support page and go to its specification tab, and in here you'd find out if the CPU you're planning to buy is actually supported by your motherboard. All right, yeah, so in this case it supports 14th, 13th, and 12th gen processors, and it also supports Pentium, all right, and Celeron as well. And so that's what we wanted to find out. And yeah, next one is the BIOS. For BIOS, for Gigabyte support, click on the support tab. Be careful, we have a support tab here and also one up top. Make sure to click on the one for your motherboard, and let's go to the BIOS drop down. There you go. When I first bought this motherboard, I believe I was on F5 BIOS. If you'd scroll down, there's a lot of released patches if you scroll up. And the thing with updating BIOS, guys, if you don't need it, don't do it. Don't upgrade to a newer version. It's not because it's a newer version it'll be a better version. Not necessarily, guys. If you're not experiencing any sort of problems in your current BIOS, there's no point in upgrading. If the current BIOS you're on will support the CPU you're planning to buy, stick with that, is all I'm saying. If you guys would notice, if you scroll all the way up, it does release updates that's really important. So I ended up with F23. If I scroll down or scroll like here, because when I upgraded to F23, aside from critical updates, I was actually expecting to upgrade my i3 to a 13th or 14th gen processor, but as of the moment, it's not a good idea. So I'm happy with the i5 12600, so I'll leave it at that. And if we scroll further up, F23 and above that, the update I'm expecting is support for hardware info. Doesn't really appeal to me. Here it's JEDEC speed profiles. The memory I have on the motherboard right now is being recognized properly, so I wouldn't even bother with this one. And here, yeah, the microcode update for CPU ID, not really important. Improve CPU compatibility, it's working fine now, so I guess it's pretty compatible already, so I'd be skipping that. Oh, this one's interesting. UEFI vulnerabilities. Yeah, I'd look into this one before actually upgrading to F28. I'd go to Reddit and see how this BIOS version, you know, performs. And yeah, all I'm saying is, if you don't need to upgrade, don't upgrade. The reason you're visiting this website here is just to check if the newer CPU you're planning to buy is supported or not. All right, if it's not, upgrade. If it is, no need. I have another tab here for ROG. If you have an Asus motherboard, here it's pretty similar. Let's go to the page of the board. This is the main page of the board. Again, it has two tabs for support. Make sure to click on the right one, otherwise you'll be ending up on the wrong page. And I'm on the support now. Go to driver and utility. Driver and utility. BIOS and firmware has its own tab there. CPU and memory support, same thing. It'll give you a list of all supported CPUs. Guys, just make sure the motherboard will support the CPU you're planning to buy, and the BIOS version also supports the newer generation you're planning to buy. Okay, so that's it for BIOS. Next thing is preparing your system for the upgrade, and one thing you'd want to make sure first is your system status. To check on your system status, go to the start menu, type in device manager. I already have it up here. So there you go. And it'll give you a list of the components inside your computer. Make sure that the list, all the components in there, doesn't have any sort of punctuation mark attached to it. Otherwise, it'll mean that there's something wrong with the driver. Right now, it's all clear. Oops, I have one here, other devices. So right now, my laptop, a lot of USB devices are connected to my laptop, so one of them may be it, but just make sure it's clear. If it's not pertaining to your CPU, it may be fine, but as much as possible, you want it clear of any punctuation marks. So right now, if you're in a similar situation as I am, a good idea is to update your drivers, right? To do that, just type in update in the start menu as well and click on check for updates. So there you go, Windows Update. Yeah, so this may have something to do with it, I think. We have AMD extensions that may or may not address the PCI data acquisition. Now, let's just say I don't want to install it right now. I have OBS running in the background. After installation, or if this one says that your system is actually up to date, it's worth checking here. If you scroll down here at the on the lower part, advanced options, click on that, and then optional updates, click on that, other updates. All right, so I have another hidden update here. It's worth clicking on that one and update those as well. And once all the drivers, Windows drivers, are updated, go back to device manager and see if the address or if the issue has been addressed. If not, try to go to that specific component, go to the support page of that component and try to update it from there. Like for example, let's say the most common is firmware. So my laptop has an AMD firmware. I go to AMD, download its chipsets, driver, stuff like that, install it, make sure everything's working fine. Now, if all the components are already clear of any issues, yeah, install the new CPU. Yeah, so that's basically it. And then maybe back your files up, because sometimes, guys, as simple as trying to clean your computer, some components get, nudged the wrong way, and you may not be able to make post of your system unit, and you might, to be on the safer side, just back your files up before replacing the CPU. And yeah, so in this next portion, so here you go. Here's a time lapse of me preparing or removing my old cooler. Now, in regards to CPU coolers, by the way, guys, this won't be a tutorial. So for your specific cooler, just try and search YouTube on how to, remove your current air cooler or water cooler, CPU cooler, and work yourself from there. So in this next part of the video is where I first ran the computer. It took 5 or 6 minutes to complete the memory training, and I missed the delete function, the BIOS screen by hitting the delete key. Memory training took a while. I was a bit scared there that it's failing to post, but it eventually, posted. Went straight to Windows. Ideally, guys, you'd want to check Device Manager first and check if the components were being or are being detected properly. Now, I was too excited, went straight to OCCT, performed a power stress test to check on the CPU, both the CPU and iGPU, because my CPU has an integrated graphics. If yours does, better check that as well, because there may be some problems there. And after that, I believe I performed Cinebench and then remark for the iGPU. And I think I think I opened Device Manager next. I checked CPU ID or CPU Z. The CPU seemed to be fine. Main boards, yeah, it's fine. Memory, the speed of the memory, they're all being detected properly. And I think I restarted the computer there and went into the BIOS screen, checked what needs to be checked, configured what needs to be configured. If you guys are interested, here's the setup screen for my B660M in case you're interested. So there you have it. Now let's proceed to the results of my benchmark runs. Let's start with idle, computer running on idle. I'm really sorry I'm not able to include the i3 12100 information. Made a mistake somewhere. I needed to scratch it off. And I don't have the time to reinstall the CPU and all that. So here's just the 12600 on idle. I'm using Hardware Info 64 and recorded the logging. The data I have here is for the core clocks, core temperatures, CPU package, package power, and the core vids for in case you're interested in case you're interested. And CPU Z benchmark run. One's for the i3. This one's i3. This one's i5. Multi-thread, single thread, and on the upper right is the the parameters provided by Hardware Info. Cinebench R23, and the scores for the R23 benchmark run. The orange one is the 10-minute run, and the orange one's the single run, the blue one's the 10-minute run. And for 3D Mark Time Spy, the graphics card I'm using is an Intel Arc A750, resolution set to 1440p. This one, guys, really interesting. The CPU score, the i5 is leading by a lot, but if you take a look at the overall score at the bottom, it's not leading that far ahead this time. So if you're planning to buy a CPU in hopes that you'd be gaining a lot of in regards to gaming performance, try considering upgrading your graphics card first. That may be a better idea, but think of it like, if your desktop experience is fine, like when you open up or launch an application, the fluidity of your desktop experience is fine, most probably, guys, it would be a better idea to upgrade your GPU first. But otherwise, if you actually need a faster core or more cores than you currently have, then yeah, I suppose that's fine. But in regards to gaming experience, especially if you're aiming for a higher resolution, upgrading your graphics card may be a better idea, is all I'm saying. And here's the last one, 3D Mark CPU profile test. Obviously, guys, 6-core 12th gen CPU will always beat i3 12th gen, right? That's pretty obvious. And one last thing I'd want to share with you guys is this one here, 3D Mark Time Spy. I just wanted to show you the FPS count. Let's start with 1440p, and Battlefield 5, we're expecting a 105 plus FPS. Disclaimer, guys, I'm not sure how accurate this thing is, but it's there if you need it. Apex Legends 140 plus FPS. GTA 5 is 70 plus FPS. Red Dead Redemption 2 45 FPS. Not too good there, is it? Fortnite, it's 60 FPS. Now let's move on towards 1080p. 265, a lot better. Red Dead Redemption 125, not bad. GTA 5's 170. Apex Legends 140. And Battlefield 5's 160 plus FPS. So there you have it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this video quite helpful. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell as well as to not miss my future videos. I'm actually hoping to upload another video, but I think I'd be stuck here for quite a while. I'm hoping I'd be able to upload another video late next week, hopefully. It'll be about hard drives and anyway, that's it for now. Again, I hope you enjoyed. As always, see you in the next one.